Hello and welcome to this edition of Eat Right with Rouses. I'm your host, Keith Weissite, licensed clinical social worker. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it very, very much. And we are glad to welcome you right here in beautiful Rouses as we welcome in the very beautiful dietitian, April Sins. Hello, April.
Hello, Keith. How are you?
I am very well. Thank you. Glad to be here in Rouses. Glad to be here with you as we talk about ways to increase grains, huh?
Yes, it's Whole Grains Month in September. And so I think that that's a fun way to talk about what is a whole grain.
Yeah.
We know about grains. We know, wheat and those sorts of things are grains. But what's a whole grain? That's going to be something that's going to have, and I have a slide to show you as well. It's going to be something that's going to have the bran and the germ and the endosperm is all intact on it. Now, how can you tell that a product has a whole grain in it? Most of the time, the products are going to really boast about that on the front of the package. They're going to say whole grains on the front of the package, but you can also turn it over and look at the ingredients label and it'll say whole grains in there. The recommended servings for that, according to the dietary guidelines for Americans, is about half of your grains that you eat, have them as whole grains. So it's about 3 to 5 servings per day. Now, why should we eat whole grains? Well, of course, we know about fiber. Fiber, the more whole something is, the more fiber is going to be in it. But also, there's other things too. There's copper. There's lignans, which lignans is something that is anti-inflammatory and it's
very helpful to the whole body.
And magnesium, manganese, protein. There's protein even in your whole grains. And then selenium, thiamine, vitamin E, and zinc. There's a lot of nutrition inside of those whole grains. So I want to keep that as a reminder that, just because it says whole grains doesn't mean you can't have more of your refined grains. But it's about that balance. It's about how can we choose maybe some whole grains mixed in with those refined grains. I'm going to give you some examples of some ways that we can kind of take that into a day in the life. Like, how can we incorporate some whole grains and what even can we choose? So let's say breakfast, a quick breakfast. Look at maybe some whole grain cereal. Now, what would be a whole grain cereal? I put a few examples: Total, shredded wheat, Cheerios, Food for Life, Ezekiel. Those are some examples of cereals that have whole grains in it. So those are just an example there. And then at 11 o'clock says, meeting, pick me up. So
before your 11 o'clock meeting.
Yeah, let's say you need a pick me up before that meeting. And so maybe a granola parfait. Granola is usually made of oats. So oats is going to be the whole grain. And then the yogurt with some fruit. So that can make a nice rounded snack. And then 5 p.m., let's say you're going to have a pre-workout snack. And maybe a healthy trail mix. So a whole grain cereal mixed with nuts and dried fruit. And then 7 p.m. at dinner time, what could we have? Maybe some whole grain pasta. And by the way, Rouses does have a whole grain pasta in the Rouses brand. And so those are some simple ways that you can incorporate some whole grains into just a daily routine.
Yeah, I like it because even if you're going to work out with some nuts, wait, sorry, we have nuts that we bring to the pre-workout, sorry. But we're going to meet some of our friends who are nuts. It's always good to be able to add those in, right? And those are some of the ways to be able to do that. That snack mix can include those things that have good fiber and good grains in it.
Oh, yeah, and it can be fun to make. So you can make those at home if you want. Yeah, so you can grab your cereal, you can grab the nuts, like it could be cashews, almonds, walnuts, any kind that you like, and then put in some of those dried fruits, maybe some raisins or dried cranberries, and that can make a nice rounded snack with the whole grains in there. A lot of people will think of like choosing the little Cheerios and things like that just because it's a simple go-to, and so that's a really easy one to choose. But you can also find whole grains in a lot of your breads. So think about going to the bread section that is in the freezer. So a lot of people don't realize that there's a lot of frozen breads at Rouses. Those breads a lot of times have some whole grains and also sprouted grains in there. Yeah.
Yeah, we almost always get our breads fresh, but they go in the refrigerator when we get home.
Yeah,
it makes them, they last much longer.
And you can find some whole grains in the shelf stable section as well.
Right.
But a lot of people don't realize about that frozen section has some whole grains too. And then you can also look for like the waffles. There's some whole grain waffles. I just thought about that
very thing. That's so weird that you say that, because I was thinking whole grain waffles as well.
Yeah.
Or the multi-grain waffle. They have both of those.
Yep. So anytime you can incorporate those little bits, it all adds up. So it's about that balance. It's about having those flavors and having fun with food.
Right.
But then also, how can we balance it out and make sure that our plate is as nutritious as it can be? Mm-hmm. We have to think about food as part of our daily routine. Food is fun, but food is also part of what our body works off of. It's fuel. Right. So we want to make sure that we're giving ourselves as much good fuel as possible, so that way we can live a fuller life and also have more energy.
Right. And having those whole grains and understanding the difference between the whole grain and the refined grains are very, very helpful, very necessary. Mm-hmm. We just need to make sure that we're aware of that. And knowing how to balance that out in our diet, knowing that half of our grains need to be whole grains.
Yes.
Of our daily consumption.
Yes. And so there's room for everything. I always like to say that you don't have to completely, eliminate this one food group.
Right.
What you want to do is balance that food group out with the other ones. Yeah. So you want to look at the whole plate and not just one piece of it. Look at the whole plate.
When we look at the whole plate, we see how many whole grains we need on that plate.
Exactly.
That's the whole process to be able to finish that. Well, great education as always. We appreciate that. And we can find all of those products, especially in the shelf ready and in the frozen section right here at our local Rouses.
Rouses is your one-stop shop.
Get it all right there.
Get it
April,
there.
Thank you so much. We appreciate
You're
you.
welcome.
All right, guys, that'll do it for this particular segment of Eat Right with Rouses. But don't go anywhere. I got a whole lot more right here on HTV.